Today's video is going to be how to change the O2 sensors in a GLK 350. This is a 2011. It's going to have both of the O2 sensors on the right cat changed, and I'll show you why later. I couldn't find a video online to show how to do it, so hey, it's time to make one. Okay, going to approach this in two separate halves. The first half is getting the plugs undone, which is up on top, which is really what I needed to know before I started the job, so that's why I'm doing the video. You can see the two cables coming up in that clip there. There's a green and then a corrugated black, and they come up to plugs that are up behind the air cleaner here. And they are reachable without taking the air cleaner out, but I think I'm going to take it off just to make it a little bit more accessible, a little easier to reach, and maybe just for the purposes of this video. You probably won't have to do that. And it's usually a good idea to take a look at the new sensors to make sure you got the right ones, that they look like the old ones. Again, we got the green cable and then the black corrugated, and you can see this one has a obvious thumb release, while this one, the plug itself, doesn't have a release on it, so the release will be in the car, but it's interesting to see this little notch here. That's the key to getting it released, so we're going to go take a look at the car now, figure out how to get this one disconnected. With the air cleaner out of the way, it's now easier to see the plug, and the first step is going to be to pop these little clips and to get this plug loose, which essentially takes two hands. But basically, it's pretty straightforward. Just pop the clip and put a little sideways pressure on the plug, and then pop the other clip and pull up. I just can't do it with one hand, so I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, actually just popped it with my fingers. Alright, and now it's easy to get to the plug and see the release and pop it loose. The release is just right here on top of this plug right here, and it gets pushed down and then pulled apart. And again, unfortunately that's a two-hand job. Just can't really show it on camera, but it's very obvious, so proceed accordingly. And 10 seconds later, it's apart. Very straightforward. Now the next one is the green connector, which you can see in there. It's a similar process where you have to pop those two obvious clips. I don't know if I can do that one without a screwdriver or some other tool. Yes, I can. So once it's popped out, then we'll just search for the release, and I'll show you where that's at. And looking at the job, I think it's actually going to be easier to just pull this hose out of the way. That gives you a lot better access to get two hands in there on that plug. So no connectors or anything else, so piece of cake. Okay, I'm just going to hold it with a pair of side lock pliers, and then reach down and get a screwdriver in there and just get a little bit of a twist. Should release it. Yeah, it's definitely released. It's just, you can tell it wants to come loose. There it goes. Wow, that is really tight. That's amazing that it fought all the way out, but you can see just because of a lot of years of crud built up between the two surfaces. So yeah, that was tricky, but it's out. And there's one more similar clip holding the green wire down lower that's probably easier to reach from on on top. So you can see you just move the little clip toward the front of the car to open it up and pull the green wire out. Again, two-hand job. Not going to catch it on camera, but it's simple. Okay, so now both clips are undone, both plugs are unplugged, all the clips are loose. So all that remains is the part under the car, which we start now. Okay, here's the bottom end. Yours probably don't look like this. The reason these are bent up is you notice there's no front drive shaft. It broke off, flailed around in here. The previous owner was driving, of course. I just bought the car like this. And it took out both O2 sensors in the process. It's harder to see the dent. Oh, there it is. Basically, normally you would use a special O2 sensor socket to remove them. That's not going to work on these for two reasons. One is because they're bent, so there's no way to put it over. And the other is that this socket's just not tall enough. So that front one's going to be a little tricky to get to. It would be worse with a drive shaft. I think I can reach it. You can see I cut the drive shaft off to so I could move the car around without doing further damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off both cables, which you can do if you're just swapping these out anyway, since you're going to toss them, and that will make it easier to maneuver around. So I'm going to cut the cables and then use a 22 millimeter or 7/8 inch wrench to remove them. Okay, there's one. And keep track of which is which as you do this, obviously. The green one is towards the front of the car. Okay, so should have both connectors out, and now just a matter of slipping a 22 millimeter wrench over the existing one. Let's see if I can get it to... Alright, and it's going to come out easy. So, this is the easy one. Okay. Alright, the easiest way to get to this one, and again, with the drive shaft in place, it's going to be a little bit different. But the nice thing about this socket is, it has a hex head that allows you to use a wrench, because I tried to wobble from the top and it just got the wrong angle. You could make that work, but and that might actually be good for working around the drive shaft. Just use but you will have to trim the cable down or use a very long. Strangely enough, after all that, this one's already loose. Presumably that's because of the thrashing it took from the drive shaft as it flailed around in its death throes. So, okay, both of them are out. Now it's just a matter of putting them back in. Green to the top, black to the bottom. Okay, one of the nice things about using Bosch sensors, and probably some others, is that they come with the anti-seize compound already on the threads, so you don't even have to add it. Just screw them in. Okay, just screw it in. You'll have to make allowances for the cable, keep it from getting painfully wound up. Just turn it down till it's flush. Okay, cable is now in the way. Okay, push it back up where I can reach it from up on top. All right, and the trick now is just to tighten it with the 22, which can probably be done adequately just from behind, even with the drive shaft in. I think you can work around it. So just get it as snug as I can, finger tight, and then reach around before installing the back one, because it's going to be in your way a little bit. Once you have it, sorry for the shaky video, folks. Just snug it down. And the wrench I have is just a little bit too long. I'm running into a hose back here. So I'm actually going to finish off with just a regular old adjustable wrench that's short enough to swing in the area. And it actually gives me good bite from two different directions. So that's probably a good tool, assuming yours isn't too awful tight. The other thing I could do while I'm down here is clip this into the little wire clip that it lives in, and which is right there. Just push it in and it's in place. So the front one is now fully installed, just not plugged in. Time to put in the back black sensor. So that's just a matter of installing NICs, if it doesn't have any, of course, twisting it in, and again, take care to make sure you're not putting undue strain on the connector, the cable, while you're installing it. A little twist is okay, but release it before it gets too tight. Okay, that one's in, and this one I can use my regular 22 millimeter wrench, so that I don't have to mess with the adjustable, and tighten it down. It doesn't have to be Gorilla tight, because it's just it'll stay put. Okay, so now I will just route the black connector up, and I'm going to clip it in there as well. Which is done by feel and can be done from up on top as well. Probably easier from down here. All right, so there we go. The cables are now in the little clip and heading towards the top where they can be plugged in again. Alright, I'm going to try to plug the oval green plug clip. Okay, well, that's not it. There it is. I'm going to try to plug this one together, and it's just a matter of lining up, figuring out which side the little tab is on. That'll give you your indication. And then make sure that the little tab on the O2 sensor's wiring connector is lined up with that. Line it up, push it together, hopefully get a nice satisfying click out of it. It's possible it won't be heard. Okay, that one is connected. It is clearly clipped, not going anywhere, and I can push it into place. I'm not going to do that yet, just in case there's an issue with this one. Now, this one goes together same way. again, you just want to make sure you've got the, make sure it's going on correctly. You can see that the, okay, this gets twisted around. That part goes in there. All right, nice solid click. Okay, so we are good to go. Now let's put them back in their housings, and these little, put them in their little clips they live in. Okay, there's one. Okay. Also, let me add that the O2 sensor on this side just comes around and plugs in a much easier to access location. So if you do this one, it's way easier to get to it. There's no drive shaft. There's nothing else. Just a 22 millimeter socket. Twist it loose, unplug it, plug it in. Yeah, this side is a 5-minute job. So. Okay, it is going to be easier to connect this black cable into this this little clip down here from underneath the car. Just a lot easier to reach. I was trying to do it from up on top. I'm bleeding enough as it is, so there you go. That'll keep it out of the way. Everything's now seems to be pretty well routed. I don't think anything's going to get in anything else's way. So should be good to go. And this will keep me from having O2 sensor errors whenever I get the drive shaft put back in, which is my next video. And just to be complete, if you did pull this hose off, now would be a real good time to reconnect it before you wonder why you've got a big vacuum leak. So, okay, we're all connected up. Everything's buttoned back up and ready to go.